Hey friends, and welcome to this week's nursery tour here at Creekside Nursery in Dallas, North Carolina, a Zone 8A. It is early mid-July, and my goodness, if you are in the South, you know that we are having some lovely weather this time of year. So what we're going to do is, it is mid-afternoon, so that is why we are in the pines, this lovely shaded area. And we kind of joke around here. We're like, you know, if you stay in the shade and you don't move, it's not that bad. But when you have a 74-degree dew point and the upper 90s, it gets a little sticky around here. What we're going to focus on today are some shade perennials because we are here in the pines. And we grabbed some gorgeous, sun-loving, heat-tolerant, they love this heat and humidity, sun perennials. We're going to come and hit those in a minute. So instead of standing out in the sun and dying of heat stroke, we just brought the plants to the shade. But there are some great plants here in the shade area that are thriving that we wanted to share with you, okay? One thing is, I did this container a couple of weeks ago, right before the signature experience. I showed it to you when we planted it up. I wanted to give you an update on this because I think this is such a fun container in the fact of it is a container. They are truly planted in the ground, in the pot, right? They're all either a shrub, like this beautiful aucuba. This is aucubas are evergreen shrubs for the shade. And then everything else is perennials. There is not one flower located on these plants in this container, but yet it has really fun interest. So I want you to think outside the box when you're putting your containers together. You can have gorgeous shrubs, right? You have this aucuba. Then we have like the Everillo grass. This is a beautiful evergreen grass for the shade. We have heaven sent, which looks like a fern, but it is not. In the wintertime, this will die completely back. And then in the spring, it'll do beautiful like blue flowers. We have oh shoot, wait, just went on my brain. The cast iron, there we go. Cast iron plant, this too will be a evergreen. So you'll have the shrub, the grass, and the cast iron plant as an evergreen. And then of course, you gotta have your hostas in there. Fun container, putting that together, lots of interest. Now, there are some beautiful hydrangeas right now that are blooming. We have got Let's Dance, I think this is the Let's Dance series. There's a lot in here. This is the Let's Dance Lovable. Look at that beautiful bloom. And I have been really impressed with how the foliage on our Macrophylla hydrangeas have been holding up this year. Consistent water makes a huge difference. So when your plants are not under stress, then they're not going to be so susceptible to brown spots or insects. So this is the power of great water. So the Let's Dance series is rated as sun to part sun. All depends on where you live. If you're in a cooler zone, you can do that full sun. If you're where we are with the heat, the humidity that just is oppressive, and even in the middle of the night, the humidity is still high. A little story, Brenna, our German Shepherd, she had to go to the potty in the middle of the night, woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning crying. And I get up, take her outside, and I realize as I'm standing outside with no slippers in my pajamas, and I'm like, I'm standing here and I'm not even the least bit cold at all because it was 2 a.m. and the humidity was still high and the temperatures were still warm. These plants need a break. They cannot handle full sun. If you have your Macrophylla hydrangeas in full sun in the south, they will burn, especially in July and August. So these are beautiful ones. Now, this is some really neat hostas because I love hostas. Jerry says we have way too many, so you need to come buy some. But right now, the little tiny little miniature short hostas are really just showing off. This one is called Rainbow's End. Beautiful variegation on it. I love the blooms. Your hostas will bloom. Your pollinators love these blooms because when they open up, they're fat enough that even like bumblebees and honeybees can get in here. So you have Rainbow's End, and then come here and look at Time in a Bottle. So Time in a Bottle is just gorgeous. I'm not even gonna like pick it up so that way Jerry can get in there. What's neat about Time in a Bottle is that it has those blooms and they stay closed. I know it may sound interesting and unique, but they bring such a fun texture to the garden. And because these are nice and small and short and petite, like thyme in a bottle is only going to get 12 inches, and that includes the flower scape, right? So very low to the ground and perfect for the front of a border in your shade garden. This could do a little bit of morning sun, but not anything I would say past lunchtime, right? They are cold hardy in zones 3 to 9. If you're in a zone 3, I bet you can put your hostas in full sun. If you're in a zone 7, 8, 9, not gonna work. And then I want to show you over here another hosta that just really kind of caught my eye from a distance because of these blooms. Look at this. So this is silly string. Look how tall the silly string blooms are. Beautiful, like lavender color, just really nice and unique. Of course, when they're done, you can just take them and just cut them down, right? So I have some of my hostas, of course, they bloom at different times. So I just trim them back once they're done, and then there you go. So you can see right here, you have thyme in a bottle that we were just looking at next to silly string. You could plant those companions together, different colors, different shapes, different texture, different blooms, different bloom heights. That's why I love hostas so much, because there's such a fun variation of all of the great plants. Now, we're gonna come over here right quick because Jerry wanted me to kind of highlight the plants that we have back here. We really haven't even spent really any time talking about the gardens here in the Pines, but we do have gardens in the Pines where you can come and get some inspiration and some ideas. One is this is a unique stone container, right? And it has the Aurelia. This is the Sun King. Beautiful perennial, chartreuse color. And believe it or not, there is a euchre in there. That is the wild berry. It's kind of taken over the wild berry. You know, if you wanted to, you could come in and trim it up a little bit. But having this chartreuse color in the shade makes a big pop, right? Don't be afraid to put perennials and shrubs in nice large containers and add those to your landscape. If you have been on any of Mimi's garden tours, right? My mama's garden, we do tours there regularly. She has tons of containers in her garden. It works great, especially if you have rabbit problems. Elevate them some and the rabbits can't get to it. Now, this is one of the more infamous containers here at Creekside. This is an old refrigerator that's been laid down, and I turned it into a planter. In it, we have drinking gourd. Drinking gourd hosta gets its name because it has these cupped leaves to it. And when we get rain, it will fill up with water. A couple of years ago, this drinking gourd was like as tall as the back of the refrigerator. And so we've been trying to figure out why it's not been as vigorous since then. And my mom and I were talking, and we think that perhaps we need to lift it up, check to see what the roots are, add some compost, add some fertilizer to it, get some more nutritious soil in there, and then we're gonna see what happens next year. We're gonna do that though in the fall. We're not gonna do that now. We're gonna do it in late fall as it is going dormant. That way it has all winter to repair those roots and get nice and big and happy. And then caladiums, right? So it's a fun little planter because this was the vegetable drawer in the refrigerator. We have fixed it to the refrigerator so it won't come off. And then I like to fill it with different kinds of annuals every year. This year we did the caladiums in here. This is Radiance caladium, and it will do sun or shade. So it is very adaptable, gorgeous pop of color right here. There you go. These are ostrich ferns. So a lot of times people will come and they ask about what these are. These are ostrich ferns. Yes, we have the unique stone fountain. We want to get that hooked up. It's not, it's all right. It'll happen. We just need to get electricity to it. But the ostrich ferns are really fun because obviously they're gonna love the shade. The more water they get, they will naturalize. I started this whole colony of ostrich ferns with probably 10 ferns. And then, especially in the wintertime, they will send out runners and you will get all sorts of babies popping up. Now, this is where you want to put your ostrich ferns in a location where it's okay if they naturalize. This is what we call naturalizing. They're not invasive. They don't send seeds. You're not going to get an ostrich fern 20 feet from here, right? They just kind of colonize and go out. So this is a really beautiful area, especially when we get that fountain going. It'll be very lovely and serene here in the pines. And then a Galloway urn, right? Beautiful Galloway urn with a hosta in there. And I want to say this is stained glass, I believe. The tag's over there. But again, I picked a very bright chartreuse hosta and this dark walnut of the Galloway urn. Putting those bright colors in the back of your shade garden, it draws your eye. So you have the Sun King right here, and then you've got the stained glass of the hosta to bring those colors in together and draw your eye to the back of the garden. All right, now let's talk about some sun perennials, because these are going to be perfect perennials that you can add to your garden right now. Probably wouldn't encourage you to add a lot of hostas to your garden because you're gonna have to be watering the heck out of them. Same thing with your hydrangeas. Go ahead and buy the hydrangea, just hold on to it, keep it in a pot, move it up to a bigger pot. But these perennials, they want to be planted right now. I was doing it in my garden this week. Let's talk sun perennials. So we have a table here, we have two different tables, but this table is filled just with your perennial grasses, right? I am a huge fan of perennial grasses. They do great. I love the color, the texture, the movement they add to the garden. They don't flower per se, but they add tons of interest to your garden. So these are ones that we have at Creekside Nursery right now that you can come and you absolutely can add them to your garden right away. So in no particular order, we are going to start first. Muley grasses. I think we're all very familiar, especially here in the South. I know you've got to be familiar with the muley grass. Even if you're not, you don't know it by name. These are the grasses in the late summer, early fall, driving down the road, and there's these plumes, and they're pink, mostly pink. They do come in white that look like cotton candy on the side of the road, and they're huge and they are gorgeous. Well, those can get quite large. So this is called Undaunted. And Undaunted is a muley grass, and it is going to be a nice petite one. It is only going to be 2.5 feet tall. You can see that the muley, it'll have more of a kind of an open draping habit to it. It still does the beautiful pink plumes in the late summer, early fall. You're going to space them about 3.5 to 4 feet apart from each other, so they're going to get wider than they are tall. Definitely full sun. You want to put this in those nice hot sunny areas, and it is hardy in zones 5 to 10. Now you can absolutely add this to some of these other perennials that we're going to be talking about. Keys to success with the muley grass is that they need well draining soil, and they don't like really thick, heavy clay soil. So even on your property, even depending on where you're going to put it in your yard, like I would love to put this up at the chicken coop, but that's really thick red clay. Maybe that's not the best place for it, or if I do, then I would need to maybe amend it with some aged pine bark fines. So just be thinking about this well draining soil. They do not want to sit in water, especially in the winter, okay? Undaunted is also a more cold hardy variety than other muley grasses. So Undaunted, nice, pretty, petite pink muley grass. Next, going into the pennisedums. So this is a gorgeous grass. Y'all, lemon squeeze. Look at this beautiful plant, right? Lemon squeeze gets its name because it has that gorgeous chartreuse color. It is going to be about 3.5 feet tall. All of these grasses are full sun. So all the grasses that I'm sharing with you are going to be in the full sun, which means 6 hours or more of sun. This is hardy in zones 5 to 9 and is really unique because of those colors to it, and you can see that it is giving me those sweet little plumes, right? That's one thing that I do love about grasses. Yet another benefit are those sweet little light airy plumes that when the wind is blowing, they dance. So if you're looking for a nice bright pop of color, lemon squeeze would be a great one. I did add this to the chicken coop garden, if you remember from last week. Desert Plains. Desert Plains is going to be another pennisetum. It is going to be a little bit bigger. It's going to be about 4 feet tall. It has not yet started putting out its plumes yet, but it has that nice open, airy habit to it. It will do those white plumes on it. It too loves the full sun, right? Still hardy in zones 5 to 9. But this is going to be a larger fountain grass than lemon squeeze and a little bit of a deeper green, richer color. So you absolutely can have these both in the same garden, but just know that your Desert Plains is going to be more of a true like dark green and a little bit bigger. So design wise, maybe you want to put it in the middle of the garden as opposed to closer to the front where maybe you could put lemon squeeze. So there's that. Skyzicarium. I am a huge fan of Skyzicarium. The first time I saw that, I guess recognized that I saw a Skyzicarium when Mom and I were in Biltmore. Beautiful grasses. This one is a really cool one. This is the Blue Paradise. Blue Paradise, you can see, is starting to take on some deep, I don't know, you can call that purple, almost near black foliage on it. It can be about 3 feet tall, hardy in zones 3 to 9. So even if maybe you're not coming to Creekside, that you're in a zone 3, but my zone 3 people, this would be a great grass for you. It is going to be, that, like I said, that 3 feet tall, and you're going to space them about 2 feet apart, so a little bit more narrow on it. Very upright grass that has, it says, can withstand adverse growing conditions and weather conditions. So there you go. In the summer, it has that silvery blue stems in a columnar habit and then deep purple wine in the fall. So it's already starting to take on some of that deep wine color of the grass. So there you go. Blue Paradise. Love that. Now, these 3 in the back are ones that I have had in my garden for several years and are big fans. Cheyenne Sky. Cheyenne Sky, and these are all going to be your panicums in that panicum family. Cheyenne Sky is going to be a little bit more, again, of a columnar habit, and you can see it, right? It has that green. Cheyenne Sky gets its name because it's going to have red. It has more, as the season goes on, deep red, burgundy tones to the leaves, and then it does really airy plumes. Very, very airy. Not as tight as like lemon squeeze, but really great. This is going to be, again, that 3 feet tall, kind of a running theme that we have around here. Very dense, upright clump, blue-green leaves that turn wine red in early summer. So faithfully has come back year after year for us here at the nursery, and we have it planted in front of our summerific evening roses. Really fun combo there. If you want to go big, right? Go big or go home. And then these are the ones for you. These are still panicums. So we have Niagara Falls. So you can see already that Niagara Falls is going to be much larger than the other grasses. Basically a 4x4. This is the grass that I have in the privacy berm. I have it on both the house side and the nursery side. Y'all, the thing is gorgeous. Just the video, I think yesterday, that I did about those plants that are thriving in the heat and humidity, and I showed you Niagara Falls. Big, wide blades of grass, right? Blue grass. So this is considered a blue one. It is putting on its plumes. Gorgeous grass, low maintenance. It does not flop. It does not split. It keeps its habit really nice and tight. Like I said, it's going to be 4 feet tall, hardy in zones 4 to 9. If I had to pick a favorite grass right now, this probably would be it, because it is such a beautiful performer in the garden for 3 seasons for sure. And then last but not least is Apache Rose. Apache Rose is also a panicum. This is what I have in what formerly the Gatsby Gal bed, I guess now the Emperor 1 bed, and it will take on those pink hues, right? Apache Rose, giving you that idea. Columnar habit, the plumes in the early fall will take on a nice pink hue to them. As the panicums are, they are hardy in zones 4 to 9. So whatever you need as far as grasses in your sun garden, then we have got options for you, whether you need something petite or you need something bigger. But that's kind of a running theme though with your perennial grasses, is that you have that foliage for 3 seasons, and typically they will give you some sort of plume flower, if you want to call it a flower, per se, towards the end of the season. And then a lot of them will change, the foliage will change color as well. All right, Now let's talk about some flowers. Flowering perennials. Okay, we're gonna go through these, y'all. Here we go. Tuscan Gold Heliopsis. Love this plant, a gorgeous, beautiful plant that does amazing continuous blooms all summer long. Once it starts, it does not stop. Gorgeous. So Heliopsis, right, is in that sunflower family. It is going to be 24 to 32 inches tall, so 2.5 feet tall, hardy in zones 4 to 9. Have this in the berm, y'all. Continuous bloomer. You don't have to deadhead it. Stick it out in the garden. It gives you gorgeous flowers. I just added it to the chicken coop. It's lovely. Put them as a specimen and just do one, or you could put them in a group like I did, 3 of them together. Kind of close, so as they mature, they're going to look like one massive plant. Tuscan Gold, big pop of color from a distance, thrives in the sun. Japanese beetles don't like it, so praise the Lord for that. We were talking about grasses, and we will get questions all the time here at the nursery, and they're like, what is that grass that is blooming? Well, it's not a grass. It is a Gnaphopia, red hot poker. So I wanted to share this with you because this Gnaphopia is a younger one. She's not blooming, but you can see why people think it is a grass, right? Beautiful for us where we are, an evergreen foliage on it, and the Pyromania series come in all of these different colors, really bright, hot colors. This is Orange Blaze. Orange Blaze obviously is a bright orange color. They will differ in height. This one is going to be one of the shorter ones at 2 feet tall, but they are hardy in zones 5B to 9. And like I said, for us in a zone 8A, it is an evergreen. And then come late winter, early spring, I'll gather it up like a ponytail and chop it. But once these start blooming, they don't stop. If yours stops, more than likely it means it needs some water. You give it some more water and it'll start blooming again. Gorgeous plant, bold color, very upright, very columnar. And then if you have the heat and the humidity, dry conditions, Russian sage. This is denim and lace, beautiful blue, silvery foliage, right? It'll do nice light lavender flowers on it. Tends to be rabbit deer resistant because it is a sage, and so it has that fragrance to it. They'll leave the critters will leave it alone. Hardy in zones 4 to 9, and this will be 28 to 32 inches. But denim and lace, Russian sage is a great plant to add fun texture and color to the garden. Echinaceas. We have got a plethora, a rainbow of colors for you with your echinacea, and we have branded, proven winners, and we have non-branded in a black pot, right? So there are great echinaceas out there. This is definitely the time you want to plant all of these perennials because they thrive in the heat and the humidity. Their roots are going crazy. You put them in the ground, make sure they get some consistent water the first couple of weeks, and their roots are going to get really well established before the cold hits. That's why we're talking about these. Even as a grower, we bring in our echinacea in like early spring. We don't bring it in the fall to grow, because if we would bring it in as little baby guys in the fall, we lose so many plants in the winter because their roots have not had time to get established before the cold hits. Get your echinacea in the ground now. So you're going to run through them really quickly. They love the full sun. They come in a range of colors. They come in a range of sizes. Some are taller, some are shorter. But here we go. So we have got the color-coded Orange Awesome. So you can see that as they mature, you will get different shades of color on the plant. The Orange Awesome is going to be 18 to 22 inches tall. So kind of that medium size. Then we have the Summer Song Fire Finch. Summer Song Fire Finch, a little shorter one, 12 to 16 inches. And this is so fun because on the same plant, you can get shades of pinks, reds, and oranges. So you can really get a nice kaleidoscope of those different colors on the same plant. Nice and shorter. Then we have the color-coded The Price is White. And this one's gonna be a little bit bigger, right? 20 to 22 inches, gorgeous, pure white flowers, right? So in the center, kind of maybe reminds you of a Shasta daisy, a little bit more yellow. And then you've got those nice white flowers on the outside. White next to any other color makes those colors pop. So there you go. One of my favorites is the One in a Melon. One in a Melon is going to be a big one, 2 feet plus. And it has massive blooms. that cantaloupe color bloom on it, nice and big. This is probably the biggest bloom on an echinacea that I know of. And one in a melon, I have it growing. I could see it out of our window of the house in the backyard. How can I see it? Because it's nice and tall and it has that beautiful cantaloupe melon color. Beautiful. The one that is thriving in the berm right now is the Fuchsia is Bright. Fuchsia is Bright is going to be about 20 inches tall. Obviously, main color, that pink, right? So you've got this beautiful fuchsia colored flowers covering the plant, absolutely covering. So you've got older blooms, you've got beautiful new blooms, you've got, you know, blooms that are just budding out. Then you've got ones that haven't even opened yet. So this thing just keeps going and covering the plant. So if you've got some pink, there you go. One of my all-time favorite series is the Sombrero series. So they're called sombreros because of their beautiful, hot, bold colors. So here we have, I'm just gonna bring them all to you together all at one time. You have this, the Adobe Orange, you have the yellow, and then you have the red. Nice, bold colors. I did the Adobe Orange right in the Chicken Coop Gardens just the other day. And so as far as height, the lemon is going to be 18 to 22 inches. The orange is going to be 18 to 20, a little bit shorter. And then the salsa red is 24 to 26. So you can absolutely put these together in the garden, various places. You could have different heights, different textures. The pollinators are all over these plants. I had to kind of fight the pollinators to bring them over here, and one already landed right back on those echinaceas. So if you're looking to add color or texture or movement, we've got it for you. I know it's hotter than Hades out here and that we're glistening and we're sweating, and we can go through probably about 3 or 4 different outfit changes a day because it's just sweating to death. But there are some great plants that if you want to add them for your late summer, early fall color, now is the time to plant them. You'll find a better success if you plant them in the heat of the summer as opposed to going into the winter, like fall, winter, that time of year. So we're here to help you. We would love to see you here Wednesdays through Saturdays at 9 to 3. Creekside Nursery here in Dallas, North Carolina. We appreciate you. Y'all have fun, stay hydrated, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.